and welcome to our nightly news. These are the headlines. A revealing documentary of colonial France's crimes sheds lights on the use of chemical weapons against Algerians. Details in this edition. Racism in the French police is increasingly being reported. A French PM has been affected. These acts cause tragic consequences in France. Spanish writer Luis Portillo Pascual published a new book condemning Morocco's colonial policies in Western Sahara, the last colony in Africa. Welcome back, everyone, to our news. We're shedding the light tonight in this segment on a documentary which uncovers France's use of chemical weapons during Algeria's War of Liberation. The same documentary has sparked debate over historical injustice, colonial warfare, and the long-concealed suffering of Algerian victims. Dachthaya reports.
At a powerful preview screening, the documentary Algérie Section Armes Spéciales was unveiled to the public, drawing a diverse audience eager to explore its revelations. The film sheds light on a long silence chapter of history, France's use of chemical weapons during the War of the National Liberation.
L'infection par grenade est possible. Les résultats des essais en cours et bientôt terminés permettront de définir le produit à utiliser.
I have a doctorate in international relations, so I've done many years of history studies, and I've never heard of the Algerian War. I've lived here before for years, and it seems to me that this period is what students miss in their studies.
I found out all about chemical weapons from what we weren't told at school, about all the atrocities committed by the French army in Algeria. So I've discovered one more evidence of all the things France has done over there. What impressed me the most was all the witnesses of the harshness of that war and the fact that it was kept a secret. No one could imagine that chemical weapons were being used by the French state.
The documentary reveals that between 8,000 and 10,000 Algerians were contaminated by these chemical weapons, a fact that has long been kept hidden. This shocking revelation may be one of the reasons why France continues to maintain defense secrecy over the archives of the War of the National Liberation, despite the President Macron's announcement about declassifying them.
There are still many archives that cannot be disclosed under an article of the 2008 law that makes archives that enable the design, use or location of weapons of mass destruction subject to disclosure. So in fact, we're protecting historical secrets behind a provision that is supposed to protect technical secrets like chemical weapons or nuclear weapons. Manufacturing secrets, in fact, the hardest thing is to get access to all these archives, which would enable us to describe an exhaustive history of the French side. It's a screen behind which we hide to avoid exposing a certain number of other secrets which are historical secrets and not technological secrets.
The powerful testimonies of Ammar Agoun and Mohamed Abbasi, survivors of the gas attacks in the caves, served as the heartfelt cry from memory, deeply moving the director of the movie.
I have one personal note because I have a little experience in war. It's the suffering of the people I met in Algeria. I saw in the eyes of old men, the eyes of children of that time, the suffering. I found it crazy, it touched me enormously. Also the Algerian veterans who are traumatized.
Initially deprogrammed from France 5 and later posted online, the documentary has sparked public debate, though its official broadcast remains on hold. However, its message extends beyond the screen, resonating with current events in Palestine and highlighting the lasting impact of the colonial wars.
Today's question is, what's the difference between a colonial war and a normal war? In a normal war, there are treaties, while in a colonial war, there are no treaties. We can imagine what it means to break free and who breaks free from the rules of war. A colonial war can be characterized by the fact that we break free because we consider that the people on the other side haven't respected the treaties, and we don't respect them when we wage war with others.
Beyond the enforced silence on this colonial crime and the controversy surrounding the film's release, the documentary presents a well-documented account of whether France upheld its treaty obligations.
La France s'interdit l'emploi en cas de guerre de certaines armes spéciales. Les gaz de combat, les armes biologiques.
We'll also be talking about racism and police violence in France. Despite repeated condemnations, the government remains silent as abuses persist, exposing a system where discrimination is a routine. Misadila Balaman.
Could a police officer tasked with upholding order and well-versed in the law really threaten a member of parliament with a taser? The answer is clear. This institution, whose primary mission is to ensure security and maintain order, operates under the leadership of Rotaillot, the far-right Minister of the Interior. Member of Parliament Ali Diouara condemned this serious abuse of power and took the matter to the French Parliament, demanding answers from the right-wing government on the issue of racially motivated and excessive police checks. He also denounced the double standards in how citizens are treated. The defender of rights, a man from your own political ranks, conducted a sweeping investigation into police community relations. His findings were damning. In France, a black or Arab person is 20 times more likely to be stopped and searched than anyone else. The Council of State has since confirmed it in black and white. I quote, "Discriminatory checks exist and are not limited to isolated cases. France has been condemned multiple times for racial profiling. Countless young men, Nahel Merzouk, Cédric Chouviat, Adama Traoré, Wanis, El Hussein Kamara, have lost their lives at the hands of law enforcement, and each time the government you represent has responded with silence, denial and impunity."
À chaque fois, le pouvoir politique que vous représentez aujourd'hui répond à ces dérives par le silence, l'aveuglement, l'impunité.
Predictably, Rotaillot's parliamentary representative dismissed these concerns outright.
Il y a des hommes et des femmes noirs.
There are black and Arab men and women serving as MPs in this country, and we are proud of that. We are proud that our party reflects the diversity of society, whether they're far right like Syria or not. France will never be reduced to the ethno-nationalist vision they seek to impose on it.
Ce à quoi ils veulent rabougrir notre pays.
Et ça, c'est absolument scandaleux.
And this is absolutely scandalous for every person watching, for the millions of black, Arab, Hindu, Pakistani and racialized people in this country who now see that even a member of parliament can be harassed by the very institutions meant to protect them. This is vile, this is racism, this is discrimination.
Member of Parliament Diouara is far from alone in this experience. Every year, hundreds of young people endure similar treatment, including those with disabilities.
Et suite à cette altercation, il y a eu des violences.
At first, we didn't see the full extent of the violence. The video was only 2 seconds long and people were too afraid to film. But what really happened, a riot officer grabbed Raphael by the neck, nearly strangling him. That's when we took out our phones. Some officers tried to de-escalate, realizing the situation had spiraled out of control, especially given Raphael's disability. They knew he had gone too far, and yet one officer still threw a punch at him.
Dégénéré, ils viennent apaiser la situation. Et malgré ça, le CRS met un coup de poing quand même à la personne handicapée.
Parce que je trouve que la vidéo parle d'elle-même, en tout cas on y voit.
The video speaks for itself. This is excessive force and a blatant violation of police ethics. No matter the circumstances, a trained officer should never resort to such violence. There are lawful procedures for handling suspects, including legal action and arrest when necessary. But what we see here is not law enforcement, it is abuse and has no place in democracy.
Poursuite, il peut y avoir arrestation, mais il ne peut pas avoir de violence physique comme on le voit sur cette courte vidéo.
Once again, this incident exposes the reality that many have long understood. France, still nostalgic for its colonial past, is no longer hiding its racism. It is embracing it in plain sight.
And Spanish writer Luis Portillo Pascual defends these harry cause in his latest book, condemning Morocco's occupation. Meanwhile, European lawmakers blacklist a firm linked to Rabat's exploitation of Western Sahara, reinforcing by that recent European Union's court's rulings against illegal trade deals. Misalila Barama reports.
published a new book championing the Sahrawi cause. Through a collection of articles, he defends the Sahrawi people's right to self-determination and condemns Morocco's occupation. His work adds to a growing body of research documenting and supporting their struggle. Meanwhile, international pressure is mounting. European lawmakers have denounced Morocco's use of a lobbying firm to promote exports from Western Sahara, accusing Rabat of illegally exploiting the region's natural resources, including fish and agricultural products, while attempting to obscure its actions. In response, members of the European Parliament have blacklisted the firm, arguing that aiding and occupying power fuels global instability and conflict. Lawmakers also noted that the same firm had previously lobbied on Morocco's behalf in trade and agricultural negotiations. They stressed that this controversy must be viewed in light of the European Court of Justice's landmark October 2024 ruling, which reaffirmed the 2021 decision annulling European Union Morocco trade and fisheries agreements that had unlawfully included occupied Western Sahara. Despite these legal setbacks, Morocco continues its exploitation of Sahrawi resources in defiance of international law, persisting with its plunder unchecked.
In other news now, and as part of ongoing efforts to combat organized crime and drug trafficking in our country, combined detachments of the PNA thwarted its attempt to smuggle large quantity of drugs across the Moroccan border. The operation, conducted on Friday, March 14th in the 3rd military region, led to the confiscation of 25 quintals and 10 kilograms of keef, along with a vehicle. And this operation once again underscores the PNA's vigilance and unwavering commitment to securing the country's borders, countering organized crime and preserving national stability. In the housing sector now, Minister of Housing Mohamed Tariq Belarabi stated that the process of activating accounts and uploading files through the AADL platform is not tied to a specific time frame. Najhtiyar.
Over 1.2 million registrants in AADL3 housing program will have now the access to their files and documents through the digital platform provided by the Ministry of Housing.
احنا متواجدين في وكالة عدل في الكول سنتر.
We are managing the registrant calls perfectly. We made sure that the use of their accounts on the platform is easy, including downloading and sending their documents. The procedures on the platform have no deadlines, which allows the registrant on Adl 3 to log in their accounts and send their documents. Like this morning, nearly 1,200,000 registrants created an account and 237,000 have uploaded their files. We'd like to reassure them not to rush to the municipal offices during Ramadan, since this procedure has no deadline.
The smooth process and the efficient management of the registrant's files, which took no longer than 15 minutes at the agency, was highly appreciated and praised.
This recent digitization of the Adl proceedings is perfect, smooth and fast. We thank those who oversaw this project. As you can see, we could get our documents easily, and we hope it remains the same. This is my first time registering in Adl 3, and I noticed that it's way quicker than how it used to be.
As they received full explanations before and after registering on the AADL3 platform, the registrants feel more positive and reassured.
Sports news now, and on the sidelines of the elective General Assembly of the Association of African Olympic Sports Committees, Algerian official Mustafa Bouraf was elected for a third consecutive Olympic term since 2018. The assembly, attended by representatives from 54 African nations, also saw the election of the executive bureau members and the heads of the organization's 7 regional divisions. In this context, Abdurrahman Hamad was elected to lead the North African region. That was it for today's news. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you tomorrow.